Welcome back, Atlanta. We are so excited to be here tonight. I am so honored and privileged because I get to chat with my sister, Sherelle from Emerge. I'm telling you guys, she is a firehouse, a trailblazer, and she's doing great work out here in the state of Georgia. But before we jump into her, I just want to say happy Black History Month to everyone. It is our time to celebrate our resilience, our brilliance, and our magic. And we're going to be talking about some of that today. So Sherelle, right here, my sister in the studio, you probably heard her on the Fireside Chat for those of you that follow the Fireside Chat. But we got her in studio today, and I'm just so honored to be with her and to share this space with you.
Absolutely. This is exciting. Thank you for having me on your show. And I'm so excited for what you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for being here. I mean, excited for what you're doing. And for those of you are probably wondering, we literally just came back from Georgia Tech.
Big day.
And you had a day before that. Like you were at the Capitol,
Yes.
I hear, doing some work with watching some laws passed that was very influential for your community.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a big day. It's a big political day.
Yeah.
Which is great because we get to see our taxpayers' dollars and our votes like in action. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and you're such an advocate, right? And
Yes.
I'll formally introduce her, y'all. We a little off script, but that's what happens when you vibe and when it's your sister is natural. We just want to jump in. So a little bit about Sherelle. She's co-founder and co-chair of Sawiga Rising, which is a coalition that activates activism, organizes organizations, and moves movements forward. She's also the founder of the Southwest Georgia Black Chamber, which is an organization that supports, educates, and provides networking opportunities for African-American businesses in Southwest Georgia. She is also the CEO, of Lady Bird Event Enterprises, Black Girl Magic, y'all, which encompasses the BAM agency and Lady Bird Event Design. Sherelle Bird uses her expertise in small business ownership, marketing, nonprofit management, and communications to assist businesses with creating a professional brand and image. She specializes in disaster communications and helping rural communities navigate communications during times of crisis and natural disaster. She sits on a number of boards that we cannot go through right now, but I'm telling you, it's about 20 boards. She's well known in the state of Georgia. She's a fierce Black woman. She's an advocate. She's amazing. And anything I left out,
No, listen, it's always awkward to hear your biography. I do a lot. And it really all boils down to just helping empower my community.
Yes.
In whatever way that I can do that. If I can, I just told my mom the other day because she's like, you're so busy. And I'm like, well, while I have the energy to do this work, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to keep running on till I can't anymore.
That's right. Until it's time to pass the torch to the next generation.
Absolutely.
But we ain't done yet. We still got some energy and
That's
some work in us. We still got some fire before we pass it. But while we have the fire, we can also mentor the girls that we need to raise them up.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Black girls and Black women. And it's such it's a topic that brings me joy, but also brings me sadness sometimes. So when I think about a Black woman, I think about the things that we struggle with, the things that we deal with, right? The multiplicity of things that we are consistently fighting with in society. But then I also think about our brilliance and our resilience, and that makes me happy. But in your own words, tell me what a Black woman is. Wow. What does that mean to be a Black woman?
It's you can't put it into words. I think we're so much bigger than just words,
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to, I think what I love about being a Black woman, I'll just start there. What I love is we are so regal. Like we walk with such grace.
I love it.
And we're the glue in communities, right? Like we're the ones that a lot of times people look to for answers, for solutions, for support. I really do think we undergird America. Like we undergird this country. And just thinking about us seeing Kamala Harris today.
Yes. Shout out to
our
Vice President Kamala Harris.
President herself. And just like the role that she plays for this country.
Yes.
She undergirds the president. Like
absolutely.
She's his foundation, his right hand.
That's right.
And we tend to be that way as well. When you get a Black woman on your team,
come on now,
we make things happen.
We make it happen.
And I actually just met a gentleman who is the chair of DeKalb County.
Nice.
And he was actually talking about the fact that he's surrounded by like 4 Black women.
I love it.
On the board. And they take care of him. They nurture him. But he said they
us.
Also will get that finger and wave it at him and get him right, get him together. And that just to me speaks so much to, again, just when we're in a space, when we're in a place, or when you ask us, when you invite us into a room, the power that we bring into that room is like, you can't describe it. So, yeah.
I love how you described being a Black woman, right? We are the ones that undergird the entire, like, not just this America, but I think the world, right? The world. Because there's just something so special about us. And I think it speaks to the things that we've had to endure through generations, right? We've had to endure so much. And I think that's what has allowed us to be so resilient and be the ones that now undergird. But talk a little bit about our plight. What has been our journey as Black women, especially in this country? What's been our journey over generations?
Yeah, I will say our journey definitely doesn't start in this country. I'm a huge believer that our journey was interrupted by this country.
That's right. Absolutely.
Our journey starts in Africa. And that's where our roots are. And I believe that we were queens there.
Yes,
we were already royals there,
that's
right? And so we came here to this country. We were stolen and brought to this country and never lost that royalty. Never lost that, who we were as the queens that we were in Africa. And so even, I love the connection that we have across the diaspora. Because it's like it's kind of like that whole namaste. It's like the queen in me recognizes the queen in you.
Yes.
And so even today, I saw a woman at the state capitol. She was like, she had the long, flowing kind of kimono dress. She had the head wrap on.
Beautiful.
And the way she just floated across the Capitol lawn. And I had to stop her and say, oh my gosh, you just look like a queen.
Yes.
And like you belonged in the Capitol,
That's right.
And so I think that's what resonates the most with me. I love that camaraderie that I share with Black women. Right. When I see them, we're like, hey, girl, we'll give each other a compliment, we'll encourage each other, support each other, and not tear each other down, not try to compete with each other. Right. And I know that does happen, but I think at our core, as Black women, we're nurturers. And so we're always looking to support each other and just really look out for each other. So.
Yeah. And we talked, and you said so much, and that was really, really powerful. And I love the point that you made even about when you see another Black woman. One of the things I try to consciously do is always compliment another Black woman, right? Sometimes we don't think that compliments or kindness goes a long way, but it does, especially when you realize as a Black woman, it takes a lot to be us.
Yes, it does.
Okay, it takes a lot to be a Black woman and to deal with the world every single day. So when you see another Black woman, be kind. Yeah. Show her kindness.
Absolutely.
Give her a compliment. So I love that you did that and you were able to recognize the queen in another Black woman. But you said something also really interesting, and that was that we lost something or it was disrupted, right? We were queens. And we still are queens. Hello, somebody. We still are queens. But we were queens positionally speaking in Africa. And so, yes, there was a disruption in that. But one thing we never lost is the queen, that spirit, that resilience, that part of us is in our DNA.
Absolutely.
It's like you try to killed our ancestors and you try to hush our story, but you can't kill that.
No.
That's something that's alive in each and every one of us. So I'm wondering for our Black girls, for them that may not be as connected to our history or may not know about the history, because a lot of times, of course, they're not taught in textbooks and taught in our institutions, and unfortunately, sometimes not taught in our homes. Yeah. For our Black girls that may not be connected to that history, how would we really engage them and help them to understand it?
I think the same thing is true. We have to keep sowing into the generation behind us.
Right.
That's our legacy.
Oh, yeah.
That's our future. That is what, that's our hope, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're a hopeless people if we're not passing on our values, our wisdom to the next generation. Every culture does it. So we have a responsibility, even if it's not our child, even if it's not our daughter, to sow into that young woman, to let her know you are a queen, remind her. Because like you said, the world tears us down as Black women. The statistics say that we're on the bottom of every demographic, even though I don't believe that.
Neither do I.
I know Black women are the fastest growing entrepreneur in the nation.
That's right.
I know that Black women have and are getting more degrees than any other demographic.
That's right.
And so we've recognized that, one, our power lies in education.
That's right.
And two, our economic empowerment lies in creating our own businesses. And so I think that's such power in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And so the more we, again, share that with young women, give them opportunities to start businesses, educate them. And I know you do that with your organization, educating young women on what economic empowerment really looks like. And I really do believe the key to economic liberation is having your own business. I always tell women, even if it's consulting, even if it's like just a small hobby that you monetize, God bless the child that has its own. I've been raised in that. And so I think it's important that we pass that type of resilience and independence to young women. And I think that's where our royalty lies in.
Yeah. Because we've always had our own, right?
Yeah.
Being a queen, being kings in Africa before the disruption and everything that happened, we had our own.
Right.
Right? And we've always, even after this slavery and all the things we've endured in this country, we've continued to try to have our own, but things like Black Wall Street, has happened that's tried to take from us. But even in that, we continue to strive. So as you mentioned, to your point, Black women being the fastest in terms of entrepreneurs. Yes, we are. Black women are out there opening businesses. Black women are out there successfully going to school and graduating with higher degrees, right? And more than we've ever seen before.
Right.
So there's so much to us that we don't necessarily like to highlight a lot. And I do agree with you. Sometimes the statistics are not telling us the truth,
They're
right?
never telling the truth. And I'll be honest with you, like, I think people want to believe that we, during slavery, were just helpless. But we weren't. We were still innovators. We still had ingenuity. We still had such intellect, even being on grounds, on this land that was foreign to us.
That's right.
We still... On those plantations, we were the ones that built this country.
That's right.
We were the ones that built the economy here.
That's right.
We're the ones still today. Like, Black women are the ones that make a way out of no way.
That's right.
Like, I don't know if you've heard that before.
We make a way out of
but
no way.
We're the ones that are the creators. Even in slavery, when, just hearing stories like we weren't allowed to speak to each other, but we would speak through drumming.
That's right.
Or we would use braiding our hair was a roadmap to freedom. Like, it literally was a map. Wow. And so it's like, you can't tell me that kind of creativity and ingenuity that has been enslaved, that has been shackled, and yet we still find ways to innovate and to create. To me, that speaks to just the strength of Black women. Yes. And so even when we have nothing, we make something out of nothing. We take care of our families. We take care of our communities. So to know our history is to understand that, no, we're not just, there's this perception that Black people are lazy and Black people don't want to work. Right. But I really think the opposite is true. We were the workers. They just didn't want to pay. Exactly.
So we were the ones, right? Like, we built the country
for free.
No type of compensation. All types of intellectual property and inventions taken and stolen from us that our ancestors invented back in those days, never given credit for, by the way, right? That we still are discovering. When did we become lazy ones? So that's the part. When did we become the violent ones, right? When we were the ones that were being weaponized against.
Absolutely.
Right? When did that narrative shifts?
And that's the reason why telling your own story and shifting, knowing the narrative and creating your own narrative is so critical. Right. Because that is, white supremacy, one of the things it's really good at is weaponizing words.
That's right.
And using words to destroy. And so putting that into the consciousness of Black people that you're lazy becomes self-fulfilling. And so we as a Black people have to counteract that with truth. By telling our real stories. I was actually just reading a story today on CNN about a young Black woman who just discovered her own element.
Really?
She's going to be on the periodic table for having discovered an element.
That's amazing.
That is incredible. That is who we are. That she is the epitome of who we are, that we're still inventors. We're still creating things that have not even been discovered yet. And so I think to call us lazy is laughable.
Yes. Right.
When you think about things like Hidden Figures, like we were sending people to the moon and solving math equations that were impossible to solve.
That's right.
That's Black women.
That's it.
So it's like, it's just mind-boggling for any other species to look down on Black women when we truly are, like you said, magical.
Oh, my goodness. There's so much going on in my mind. I'm just so excited about this conversation because I got to tell you, this is one of the things that I'm so passionate about.
Absolutely.
It's lifting up Black women. It's retelling our narrative the right way because for so long, our narrative has been told by our oppressors.
Right.
We've been told this is your narrative.
Right.
We haven't had the opportunity to rise and say, no, this is who we are. This is our narrative. We're naming it. So this is something I'm really passionate about. So I'm listening to you and it's just getting me really excited. And I'm thinking about a few points. One of them is the idea of dispelling myths, right? When we start to take our narrative back and tell our narrative, a part of that, and you mentioned it, is we have to start dispelling a lot of the myths out there that I don't know where they came from. I guess they said, right? And then they said became factual, but there is no evidence to support these myths. So one of the myths that I wanted to dispel, we've already talked about, is that Black women are lazy. We are the hardest working people on this earth. So we're dispelling that myth.
Right.
The second one I want to deal with is the angry Black woman syndrome. And I know that is something that's very controversial, but I want to dispel that. I want you to speak to that as well.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And I attended Georgia State. I'm a psychology major. And one of the things I remember studying in African-American psychology was all of the stereotypes that were created about Black women. And Sapphire was the angry Black woman. And so there's a whole psychology behind it. But what I truly believe is that Black women have every right to be angry in America. James Baldwin said to be Black in America is to be angry all the time.
That's right.
And so when we think about the fact that we're nurturers, it hurts to see the oppression and the destruction that has happened to our people when we know fully well what we deserve, right? And so when we see things, particularly even now in the media, it's hard to look at the news. I don't even watch the news anymore because
it can be very depressing.
You're inundated with so many images, destructive images of Black people being killed, Black bodies being destroyed. The narratives of us being barbaric and savage. And, when you know yourself, it's hard to see those things. Black women historically, we're the ones nurturing everybody else's children. We're feeding and milking their children.
Right. Even the slave masters' children, we
were nursing them. We're nursing their babies.
Absolutely.
And yet those children grow up to hate us, like they're being taught to hate us. So imagine what that feels like for a Black woman. This child that I nursed so intimately now hates me.
And just like dealing with that and that the nursing aspect, right? And we're moms, right? I don't know if you nursed.
I did.
I nursed. When you nurse, there is a connection.
There is a spiritual connection.
A spiritual bond that you develop. So it's emotional rape.
Absolutely.
When you make a woman nurse another child that's not yours and then snatch that baby and then make that baby then turn on that woman. It is emotional rape.
Who wouldn't be angry about that?
Yeah.
Or who wouldn't be angry about being the mistress that is hidden away in a closet and birthing babies for the slave master while you watch him with his wife?
Right.
Because again, that's an emotional connection.
Absolutely.
I've had intercourse with you and I've made children from you.
Right.
But yet I'm still a slave.
Right.
in a
only
closet
good enough to
hidden
be
away.
hidden away.
So the stereotype of being an angry Black woman is really, again, white supremacy wanting to take the responsibility off themselves for making the woman angry in the first place.
That's right.
So I think when you call us angry, you have to ask, why are we angry? And usually, yes, it's very justifiable.
Oh, we have a list, y'all. If you got time, we can tell you why we're angry. We got some reasons. So I think that's important what you said, that we do have a right. And I think it's also it's trauma, right?
Absolutely.
It transcends anger.
It's deep.
It transcends. It's complex intergenerational trauma that becomes passed on. I think about the complexities of the things that we dealt with, our ancestors dealt with as women. You named one of them. Being raped by slave masters, bearing children that you couldn't take care of, your own children being separated from you, ripped apart from you. And
your husband's being ripped apart from you, or breeding other women.
Breeding, absolutely. And there was one story I think about. I read it at the Black Museum History in D.C., and it was about these some of the Black women, the slaves whose babies were being ripped and taken from them. And they talked about how they would hear the cries of these mothers at night, just mourning for their babies, and that some of the women would actually die of a broken heart. And I said, that amount of pain and trauma to have to go through your own child being ripped from you as a mother, the mourning to the point where you go with your child. That is an incredible amount.
I deeply and thankfully I've never experienced that level of grief.
Yes.
But then turn around and imagine, not only can I no longer nurse my child because it's gone, but now I have to nurse your child.
That's right.
That's where the anger comes in, the audacity.
That's right.
That you say, I cannot take care of my own child with the milk that was given to me for my child.
Right.
I now have to give that to your child.
That's right. and these are the reasons, and we're dispelling, y'all. So if you're like, well, why are they talking about they on a rant of anger? No, we're calm. We have calm demeanors, because sometimes what happens is the topic is offensive. So people will say, well, they sound angry. No, we're actually talking in calm manners, right?
Yeah, but we have a right to be angry. And honestly, we're human. We have emotions. And I hate that when I've looked at things like Fox News and you see men yelling and screaming at each other
all the time
on television.
All the time.
No one calls them angry.
No, they call them men.
Right. And so it's like, no, we have to push back on the misogynoir.
I agree.
That Black women have the right to experience anger.
That's right.
Especially when it's justified, when it's righteous anger.
That's right.
We have a right to that.
That's right.
And so I reject the notion. I think it's ridiculous to even say angry Black woman when everyone gets angry. And if you have a reason to be angry, then be angry.
That's right. That makes you human.
Absolutely.
And so that's the other part, right? So we're going to now dispel the myth of you don't have the right to have human emotions.
Right.
So a part of being a woman, one is, of course, we lead a lot of times by our emotions, right? We are also typically physically not as strong as men, right? But a lot of times we have to put on strength and strongness, and we have to put on, this thing about us so that we are protecting ourselves, because a lot of times we're the only ones doing it. So the myth is that we're always strong, and that's not true.
No, it's not.
That's not true.
Yeah, and
we
I
have
think
days.
Emotions are not weak. Emotions are actually a sign of strength.
Absolutely.
And I think that we are resilient to a fault as Black women because we carry so much. We take care of everyone else, and we usually put ourselves last. And we are strong, but we shouldn't have to be a lot of times.
Right.
And again, it's a stripping away of our humanity. That the expectation is that we should be the caretakers of everyone.
That's right.
And we've always been made to be that way historically in this country.
Absolutely.
And so I think something that's becoming very critical to the work that I do is healing.
I love it.
And self-care.
Yes.
And really just leaning into the traumas that Black women face and finding ways to really heal those traumas.
Right.
And so that's to me, it can be very simple as throughout the day asking yourself, what do I need right now?
I love that.
Because a lot of times we're so busy thinking about what everyone else around us needs. What does my husband need? What do my children need? What does my employer need? What does my community need? What does everyone need?
Absolutely.
I have literally in my work sat on phone calls when we were in the height of the pandemic.
Right.
From 7:30 a.m. in the morning to 7:30 p.m. at night, sitting in a chair on Zoom calls.
Oh, my goodness.
And would get to the end of the night and realize I haven't eaten. I haven't used the restroom.
Oh, no.
I haven't done anything to take care of me.
I'm guilty of it, too, so let me stop fronting y'all. Yeah. I've done it so many times, too.
And so we have to stop in any moment of the day and say, what do I need right now? Do I need something to drink? Do I need to stop and breathe? Do I need to go outside and get some sun? Do I need to take a nap?
That's right.
You know, we should be allowed to do those things. And we're at a generation where we've not, our mothers didn't go to spas.
That's
right. Our grandmothers didn't get their nails done.
No, they didn't.
So we can honor them. I really think it is honoring their wildest dreams.
I love that.
By stopping to take care of ourselves. Go get a massage.
Right.
You know, go on a vacation. Go with your girls and enjoy life. Because we owe that to the women that came before us that didn't get the opportunity to do that.
And they would want us to do that.
They would want that for us.
They would want a better life. They risked their lives
that for us.
So we can have better, you know. And I think that's such a moment, like just a pause moment, an aha moment. Like they would have wanted us to have better, to take care of ourselves, not to go through the same trauma that they lived, especially those that gave their lives, you know, for us. Because they were thinking about us.
Yeah,
they were thinking about us.
Yeah.
You know, and that gives me goosebumps. That really does. But this is so good. I'm thinking about Woman King, and we talked about it a few minutes before we started recording. But Woman King, you know, I got to tell y'all, I watched it 5 times, and I'm not ashamed because I might watch it tonight after, you know, my work day. But what I loved about Woman King was it really showed the true Black woman.
Absolutely.
It showed the true Black woman. It showed the Black woman and her being fierce, but also being a woman and being a queen. It showed her ability to be strategic, to be intentional, to have strategies of warfare. I mean, her brilliance. I mean, it really depicted the essence and the core of what a Black woman and who a Black woman is.
Right.
I know you've seen the movie too because you told me. Tell me where some of the parts that really resonated with you.
Yeah, I love the juxtaposition of this strong, powerful, almost masculine in some regards, Black woman. But then when you see her in the bathing pool, now she's very soft, very feminine, very vulnerable in that moment. But also, as they're training women, it kind of shows that we're also very sexual beings.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And, you know, you can't deny that. You can't squash that. You know, you can't. You have to be all of those things. So I think it beautifully depicted just all of the facets of a Black woman. Like you said, our strength, our resilience, our pain, you know, just to see her crying, but also to see her being portrayed as a mother, you know, and that maternal side of her. So it just, I love that it just really illustrated so many different facets of being a Black woman.
Shout out to Viola.
Absolutely.
She did an amazing job with that movie.
Yes, it was beautiful. All of the actresses were beautiful.
They were all amazing, all of them. And I took my daughter to see the movie, and she took her best friend who's a Afro-Latina, and her mom was Afro-Latina. We all cried together.
Wow.
And the little girls were all screaming in the movie theater, and I said, these are the images.
Yes.
That we need to make sure our Black girls see, because this is what they need. They need to be able to have something to look up to.
Right.
You know, and that's a whole nother subject, but just touching quickly on media. And a lot of times the way that Black women are portrayed on media.
Right.
Over-sexualized, right? And so this is what our girls see, and that's what they aspire. Because that's their role model.
Right.
So we have to start creating images it doesn't have to be that. You don't have to get attention by over-sexualizing yourself, right? Teaching them self-esteem and self-confidence and how to have and develop a positive self-esteem.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I love that this generation is starting to do more of telling our true stories.
Yeah.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Viola Davis is great at that. Like she's portrayed so many women in so many facets. And my daughter's she's a filmmaker.
Oh, nice.
And so she and I have these conversations all the time. So I know she's going to be someone else that's going to contribute to our narrative and our stories as well. So
I love it.
I'm starting to be more proud of Hollywood.
Yes.
And really taking care of our stories a lot more.
I agree with that. And even the Emmett Till movie, I think that, and it, it showed Emmett Till's mom and her strength. Right. But what I liked about that movie, it was also depicted from a resilience and empowerment standpoint. Yes. So a lot of times when we watch these movies, they can be very traumatizing.
Right.
And sometimes you got to say, okay, I'm going to watch this, but I'm going to need a community of support just to get through this movie because you can feel the pain of what your ancestors had to go through. But what I appreciated about both of the movies is that they came from an empowerment standpoint.
Absolutely.
So it really made you feel good. I mean, there were horrible parts in it, but then after you're saying, we feel like this was told from our perspective.
Absolutely.
We don't want to glory in these details.
Right.
We don't want to glory in all the horrible things that happen. We want to also look at our resilience and our strength.
Absolutely.
Yes. So our girls out here, our Black girls, they need role models. They need to know that they're queens. What can we do to help them with that?
Be queens. I think I think Black girls are always watching.
Yeah.
They're watching us. And I think we owe it to them. I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
What do young women see when they see me? Because I know when I was a young woman, I was always watching women to see what is it about them that I wanted to emulate it when I grew up, And so now I want to be that woman. Like I've had amazing mentors in my life. I had amazing aunts in my life.
I love it.
My mom, like all of these amazing women, each of them I have a piece of, that makes me who I am today.
Beautiful.
And so I always try to uphold myself to be that same for another young woman, for her to see when she looks at me an image of femininity, an image of strength, an image of a great mom, an image of a sister, an image of a Black woman with her head held high.
Yes.
Being the queen and the royal that she is. And I think just walking in that, young women see that and they're going to grow up to be that one day.
Yeah. So many of our Black girls are dealing with things like depression and low self-esteem and low self-image. And I want to make sure that we're doing our role, what you said, right? Being role models to these girls because they need to see us.
Right.
We need more Black women that are also willing to mentor Black girls.
Right.
This month is Black History Month. So girls, I want Black women, if you're out there listening, we want you to find a Black girl to mentor.
That's right.
And if you're trying to figure out what program, go to iraceinc.org. And there are tons of Black girls waiting for a Black woman mentor. We actually have a coaching program called See Her, Be Her, geared towards Black girls.
There you go.
Between the ages of 11 and 19. And we match Black women with Black girls to mentor them to deal with the unique challenges that Black girls face.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the reason why we target Black girls and not all youth is because they deal with very unique challenges.
Absolutely.
And so it takes a unique approach. So Black women, if you're looking for a child to mentor, go to iraceinc.org because there are tons of kids that would love your mentorship.
Absolutely.
And that's how we do it. So we're wrapping up our segment here, but any last words or final words you want to give to our Black beautiful queens out there that are watching and listening?
Yeah, definitely. I would just say always know who you are.
Yes.
Know that your story did not start in, 1692 or 1892, whenever we got here. Your story starts in Africa. It starts with the royalty that you are, and that's so important, not just during Black history, but every month and every day of the year to research the great women that came before you.
I love it.
I actually have found out that I'm from the tribe of Angola.
Wow.
And Queen Nzogi, who was an amazing, fierce warrior that protected Angola for years.
Look at that.
That is my birthright. That's my bloodline.
That's who you are.
And it makes sense when you know that, when you hear their history. Right. That's who I am. That's why I fight.
Love that.
And so I think every young woman should read their history.
Yes.
Find out who those queens were in Africa. Learn their stories and find out who your queen is.
Find out who you are.
That's where you are. You are in your history. So I thank you for what you're doing. This programs like these are so critical to us shaping our narrative and telling our stories. And so thank you for what you do.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Like, you're the queen over here. But no, I appreciate that. And I did not get to do my tracing my history back yet. But that is something that I would love to do. And, I have my own theory. I believe that these types of things should be free and accessible to Blacks. We should be able to find our history without paying.
Right.
And without all the puzzle pieces. It should be made available to us because there is a way if they wanted it to. But we have to dig through and find it. But that's something that I would love to do.
Absolutely.
So that is on my list. And for those of you that can afford to do it and have the time, I also encourage you to do the same because it's important to find who we truly are and find out our roots. And our history did not begin here.
No.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Sherelle. I appreciate you. You're a Black, beautiful queen. Keep doing the work, the great work that you're doing. You are fierce. You are an advocate. You are a trailblazer. You are a mover and a shaker out here in the state of Georgia. And I know you have some great things coming up.
I do. So hopefully I get to come back and share some things.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for tuning in and for watching. Again, happy Black History Month. I want to leave a point that Sherelle mentioned, and that is to every Black woman out there listening to this podcast, stop what you're doing right now and ask yourself, what do I need? Take care of yourself. We spend all the time taking care of everyone around us, but we have to take care of ourselves. So ask yourself, what do I need right now? And give yourself permission to have it. Happy Black History Month. We love you all. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned.